Dubois Itauma. I'm going to talk about that one. They want to make that one next. I think it's probably already been planned by Turkey, if I had to guess, or whoever it is behind them who believe Itauma can be like the next Mike Tyson, as they would say, because he's young. They're trying to make him into a very young heavyweight champion. The only problem is the last fight that Itauma fought in, he fought that old dude, Gerald something. I don't remember what his name is, right? They had a picture of him, the guy that looks like pro wrestler Mark Henry, Sexual Chocolate, right? They had a picture of this guy and he had the dreads, but when they actually fought, the guy was bald and he didn't have dreads anymore, right? But the scary thing is that they were both on the same level. And I should need to open up my browser because it doesn't make sense if I don't know his name for this video, which I really don't care for these names but Jermaine Franklin, okay? Itauma was on the same level as Jermaine Franklin, and a lot of people who would watch this, if they ever get to see it, because YouTube is starting to suck, especially when trying to even find relevant videos or, recent uploads or whatever, they will just hide it. Itauma is on the same level as Jermaine Franklin. Even when they were fighting, they were making the same moves at the same time, with the same thinking level, at the same rhythm, at the same pace. The only difference was that Franklin was old. Had Franklin been younger, that fight probably would have been a draw. It goes to show you where Itauma is, and now that I have this whole wins losses, he's only got 14 fights, and that Dillian White took a dive, the most obvious dive. I mean, I say the most obvious dive to every obvious dive out there, but in my opinion, that was an obvious dive. He's not ready for Dubois. And if he does, he gets decimated. Most likely, because I'm hearing that I think he has the same trainer as Pablo Wardley, right? Which is the same trainer as Anthony Joshua when they fought Dubois. He does not know how to fight Dubois. And even if you look at the two fighters which Dubois lost to, Joe Joyce and Usyk, in which both guys won with the jab, Itauma doesn't have that kind of jab. He doesn't know how to use it to beat a guy down. Right? To beat a guy down with the jab. He doesn't know how to do that. He knows how to use the left, yes, but the left and the right, southpaw versus orthodox, it's never going to work. So they're pushing this fight as like what do you call it? Not pushing it. They're putting it way too early to marinate. And Itauma just isn't. Enrico Itauma just isn't. He's just not ready. And I look at Dubois, and many years ago, there was this fighter that only one guy in the modern times YouTube would bring up. Sam Peter. Dubois, the way his shoulders move almost like levers with his hips, his power just comes naturally. It reminds me of Sam Peter, except that Dubois is way taller and he's way more explosive than Sam Peter. That should Itauma suddenly learn how to use his jab, he could do everything right, and then boom, that right hand lands, and he could just be out, right? And when you look at Joe Joyce for that period of time had just a iron shin. You just could not hurt him, and he just wasn't gonna get hurt. Right? Itauma's not that. We've seen him get hurt. I've seen him get hurt in, fights that with punches that he shouldn't have gotten hurt by, in my opinion. So, yeah, there goes that. And then, the Usyk thing Usyk, he's just on another level. Some people would say that he's pound for pound number 2 right now because he's fighting Rico, whatever it is. But it's like, if everybody is having these showcase fights and nobody wants to fight the champ, isn't he obligated to do the same? And even with Tyson Fury right now, man, it's not part of this video, but he's washed. He's a shell of himself. I watched the fight with Arslan back. It's on Netflix, and he didn't have any speed. He didn't have any power. He didn't have any craftiness. He didn't show any textbook boxing. He was just sloppy. It was just a guy with a name who showed up, and he possibly could have lost because, even though Arslan back was leading with his head, and I don't know what his game plan was. Fury didn't really do anything to him. Didn't do anything. Damage always matters to me more than little pity pat shots on the inside by Fury. But again, Itauma versus Dubois. Dubois washes Itauma. Like I said, Itauma going in there with 14 fights on the same exact boxing level as Jermaine Franklin. Going against, one of the biggest punchers that boxing has seen in a while, right? That isn't Anthony Joshua. Where it's like, yeah, he can do everything right and just get bombed out by a punch that isn't meant to bomb you out, right? That's my thoughts on it.